Hello, this is Brandon Johnson, and this is my case study for EDL 854, Module 16. Category 1, Problem Identification and Analysis. What do you know? So, some of the things that I know after reading the case study, first of all, the socioeconomic levels of the families within the area of this school are declining. Um, I know that the principal does not have an assistant principal to help with extra duties outside of school. Um, I know that the parents of student athletes and cheerleaders regularly volunteer at athletic events. Um, Two parents manage concessions and two monitor the gates while working at these activities. I know that Mrs. Bowman is a regular volunteer for the school um, at events, and she recently asked Principal Stevens to pay her daughter's way to an all-state cheerleading competition in New York City. Mr. Stevens denied that request and told Miss Bowman that he would not pay for her daughter's trip. I know that the next time that Mr. Stevens saw Miss Bowman was at the next home basketball game, and she was running the gate at that event. And then after checking and making sure that all the funds were accounted for from the ticket sales, a $50 bill was missing. What do you need to know? So first thing that popped into my mind was, what was the mood of Miss Bowman after her request for funds to send her daughter to the cheerleading competition was denied? Um, was she extremely frustrated with Mr. Stevens? Did he feel like she was going to take it out on him? Just kind of what was her mood after that whole meeting happened? Secondly, was there another volunteer helping Miss Bowman? In the case study, it stated that two parent volunteers worked the gate. I would want to know who that other person was and if they were, assisting the entire time. Um, who were the other two concession stand volunteers, and is there any reason to question them as to regards to some of the missing funds? And lastly, was this the first time money has gone missing from an event like this, or is this something that happens quite frequently? And then the problem, after reading the case study, would be that 10 tickets were reported as torn by Miss Bowman, who handed in the ticket invoice and the money bag to Mr. Stevens, and a $50 bill from the ticket proceeds has gone missing. Mr. Stevens knows it was a 50 because he had a conversation with the fan, Mr. Dumas, about paying with such a large denomination of bill. Category 2, my proposed plan of action. So my plan of action, although it seems there is an obvious theft in some form, it will be difficult to prove. Therefore, I will work on a plan to prevent future occurrences such as this. The first thing I will do is create a system where a school employee will oversee the funds from gate workers as well as funds from concessions. And the second thing is to put into place requirements when it comes to tickets which need discarded. And lastly, I will ensure there are always multiple people in any situation where funds are received, so there are second-hand accounts of the processing of the funds and the collecting of the funds. Appropriate strategies that I would use for the implementation of my plan. First thing I would do is find funds to allow a school employee to oversee gate workers and concession workers at events. This does not have to be a principal. I feel that it could be a stipend position to a teacher at the school. It should be set aside from the principal, and they're there to help assist at these events to make sure that things are running smoothly. The second thing I would do is set up a system which requires administrative approval before tickets are discarded. Gate workers need to contact the principal for explanation and approval prior to getting rid of tickets. And lastly, the third thing I would do is require multiple people to be in any situation or place where funds are received. Make sure that there's always more than one person taking the funds to hold people and volunteers accountable. Category 3, resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. So first, what is best for the students? By requiring a school employee to oversee the funds, it ensures the appropriate funds still arrive safely to the school and can be used for student purposes. Also, allowing for parent volunteers, it builds a trust and collaboration between the school and the community. I feel that parents, if they want to help, they should be able to. There just needs to be a system in place that makes sure that everybody is following certain procedures. And then by placing safeguards into the monetary process, it ensures that funds are not mishandled and can be used for student expenses. Category 4, debrief the problem by reflecting on what you were thinking, feeling, and valuing. So first of all, what was I thinking? First, it seems risky to have parent volunteers responsible for gate and concession items when a school employee is not always available or overseeing the process. Like I said, it's awesome that the parents want to help, but we just need to make sure that there's somebody that oversees the overall process of the volunteers. Next, I was thinking this PTA is very involved and active, which is a great thing. And the last thing I was thinking was it seems as though the principal could use some extra assistance and has a lot to handle on his own. That's why I feel like, possibly paying a teacher a stipend position to assist at events would be something that could help the principal out. What were you feeling? First, I felt that the principal had a tough decision in denying the parents' request for sponsoring the trip. But I do feel that it was the correct decision, being that it was only one student and those funds are to be used on the students as a whole, not just individual students on a student-to-student basis. Secondly, it seems as though the parents played a part in the misuse of funds, but is difficult to prove and could cause an uprising. And then I don't want to discontinue allowing parent volunteers because of one person's wrongdoing. I just feel like I need to establish a more concrete system as to how the parents are going to help. What were you valuing? In my district, we have several paid positions that assist in the handling of funds and overseeing this process. And I was valuing that because I feel like in this situation, the principal is overwhelmed. It's amazing that this school district continues to have so many willing parent volunteers. So I value that. And then, although there was mishandling of funds, there are some safeguards that are already in place. The principal was doing things the right way. This is just a situation that had happened. What issues are still unresolved or open to investigation? So first, how did the tickets become torn? We never really found that out. And did anyone else see that they were torn or see this happen? Second, was the second person assisting the gate in addition to Miss Bowman? Like I said, was that second person there and did they see the torn tickets? And are you absolutely certain with what denomination that Mr. Dumas, paid for? Mr. Stevens states that he used a $50 bill and there was not a $50 bill in that bag. But is he 100% certain that that is the case? Reflect on Standard 8, providing evidence that as a leader I promoted the success and well-being of every student. So in component 1, how do you as the school leader promote effective and efficient management of the school or district? First thing is, as a school leader, ensuring that funds are handled appropriately in order to benefit all students. As a school leader, I will follow procedures for the handling of funds by ensuring multiple people are present for taking and counting money to make sure that no funds are misplaced. And lastly, as a school leader, when issues arise in processes and procedures, I must evaluate those and make adjustments where I see fit. Component 2, how do you as the school leader promote the social learning of every student? As a principal, I will ensure that funds are spent among the student body, not just on an individual student-to-student basis. I will not favor one particular group over another in terms of funds or requests of funds, and I will remain consistent in my handling of funds and requirements of those handling funds. I need to make sure that certain policies and procedures are set in place and that those people that are handling those funds know the correct way to do so. How do you as the school leader promote student academic learning? Component 3. A principal promotes academic learning by allowing funds to be spent for instructional purposes when necessary. By ensuring that funds are handled appropriately and therefore the most money possible is available to be spent on instructional materials. And lastly, as opposed to jumping to conclusions regarding the suspected parent and missing funds, I would make sure that I reinforce policies and procedures for the handling of funds and just review this process with the parent volunteers to make sure that everybody's on the same page, and then I would make changes to the process and procedures as needed. Again, my name is Brandon Johnson, and this is my Module 16 case study for EDL 854. Thank you everybody for watching, and have a great day. Bye.